Hello. Okay, so it's Monday. It's not Tuesday. Tuesday, I'm going to lunch with a friend, the friend who wanted to hire me for her TV show, and then the stupid network did not recognize how great the show was. It was the wrong network. NBC would love that show. CBS would love that show. Yeah. But anyway, so I moved my Tuesday client to Monday, and had a little bit of a rough start this morning. Definitely feeling the effects of Mercury retrograde. I don't complain about Mercury retrograde. I think it's, and maybe you don't believe in astrology, and I don't care. It's whether or not you believe in the effects of it. I think it's a good reminder 3 or 4 times a year to look at what's on your checklist, look at what's on your projects. What is it that you started and then set aside for a second and now is just collecting cobwebs? And that's how I treat Mercury retrograde. To me, it's like flossing your desk. It's something that you do on the regular, keep things going in the right direction. And to that was a nice car. To that, I would like to add that I finally went to pages on one of my projects. I have 5 pages. And somebody might say, oh, don't start anything new on Mercury retrograde. Honey, this is not new. I've been puzzling this one out for, I'm embarrassed to say how long. Perhaps decades. Perhaps multiple decades. But for a very, 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 very long time. And all of a sudden, all the pieces just fell into place. And I know exactly what I'm doing with it. I know exactly where I'm going with it. And it's like the scenes write themselves. It's like I wake up and I know exactly, like I dreamt it. Oh, this is what happens next. And I feel pretty good about it. So that is a giant shot of the steering wheel. What can I do about that? Maybe nothing. Okay. So I feel extremely good about that. I feel like I've accomplished something. I write every single day. A lot of it is just loosey-goosey, just, barf ideas on a page. I journal in the morning to get my head on straight and make sure that I enter the day with the right attitude. So it's not that I don't write, but I don't necessarily make obvious concrete progress. And having 5 pages in the correct format is definitely project progress. So I'm feeling very good about that. Please forgive the runny nose. I went back on Mounjaro. It was a financial decision previously. I take it for the diabetes. I was not that concerned about the weight loss portion when I was initially on it, and I lost 40 pounds. Then when it came off of it, I got the GLP-1 bounce that people get, so I managed to keep half of that off. And I know my thermostat, my body thermostat, is okay with the staying at the lower weight, so I'm happy about that. but because of insurance and finances and what have you, I could not continue taking Mounjaro. It came down to you could have insurance or you could have Mounjaro. And so I opted for insurance. It probably would have been cheaper to stick with the Mounjaro. But in the interim, I've learned a lot about diabetes. I've learned a lot about how my body wants to be diabetic and what I can take and how I can manage all of that. My doctor definitely, when I first started with him, wanted me to manage my expectations. And I had told him my big goal was to put the diabetes in remission. And he said, well, your numbers were very high when you came in, like screamingly high. I just want you to be aware you may be on medication for the rest of your life. Fast forward a couple of A1C tests later, on the third one, my number came down so hard that I was right at the floor of, if you're going to be pre-diabetic, I was at that, right at the lowest level. Once you cross into diabetes, you have diabetes, period. So the range that but it's a progressive disease, and the range that I'm in is that it's contained. So it's like when a fire is 10% contained, 20% contained, whatever percent contained, that's where I am. I'm contained. But the insurance company, which won't cover the most basic things, but they will cover Ozempic, and I had a violent reaction against Ozempic. I could not stop with the explosive diarrhea. So that, and I've been off the Ozempic for a few months, several months now, but my body still hasn't fully recovered. My guts are very sensitive now, and I have to be very careful about what I expose myself to, because I could get thunder pants from having a fucking taco salad. So, I used to have a cast iron stomach, and those days are not here right now. But I feel good about some of the choices that I've made, and I feel good about being on the Mounjaro. And I will admit to you, I'm being very honest here. When I first went on it, I didn't give a shit about the weight loss stuff. I've been fat for a long time. It is something that I've learned to deal with, from the, where to buy clothes and disrespect from people. And the weirdest one is I used to have people who, the only time they wanted to do anything, the only activity they wanted to do was go to eat. And I realized, and they would order like the most sloppy plates of food and so copious amounts of food. And even at my largest, an all you can eat place was a complete waste on me. I would fill up and they'd still be eating. And I realized, I was being used for my fatness to hide their gluttony. Because if there's all this food on the table, it must belong to the fat girl. Yes. I can think of two people in particular. And one of them, I said, can we plan an activity that doesn't involve food? And she was so offended. And I thought, okay. And interestingly enough, both of these relationships ended on non-food issues, but were rather explosive and sudden. And it was, fine, I'm blocking you. I blocked one. The other one may have blocked me, but I know I was right. I know I was right about that. I read that correctly. You can dispute me if you want, but it's funny when you are other with a capital O, it's very easy to read people's behavior. My friend has a student who is in Utah right now, and he is Asian, and he is there because his wife is doing her residency, and he had a feeling that unconsciously he was expected to yield on the sidewalk. So people were coming down the sidewalk, that there was this expectation that he would make way for the other people to pass. So he tried an experiment where he decided to stay on his path, and he kept bumping shoulders with people. That the white people were not taking their turn to yield. There was always the expectation that he would yield. And she started telling me this story, and I knew exactly where it was going. The difference with prejudice against fatness and prejudice against race or gender or any other, I can change my fatness. And he can't change his Asianness. He's always going to be Asian. So I'm proud of him for not yielding. Good for him. And it's interesting to observe, when people push back against the idea of white privilege. It's because you're so used to it, you don't recognize when you're exercising it, because it's so normal for you. So next time you're approaching a door and the person on the other side is a person of color, if you're a white person, let them come through the door first. Yield. Give it a try and see how often you are yielding. See how often you're thinking about this. It's an interesting experiment. It's an interesting self-challenge. I caught myself. Yeah. So we all do it. My whiteys, we all do it. And we need to be more aware. Just in general, it'll be a more peaceful world if we're more aware. We don't have to grovel or scrape or beg or bow, but we could definitely benefit from adjusting our awareness. So yes, Mounjaro. I talked about it with my doctor, and in the United States we have Mounjaro and Zepbound. They're the same drug, but Zepbound was approved for weight loss and Mounjaro was not. Same drug, same manufacturer, but different applications. And we tried to stay on the Mounjaro. That didn't work. And Eli Lilly came up with a program to let people buy directly from them. Excuse me. That was my hiccup burp. You could buy the drug directly from them. This is the approved for weight loss version, which I said to the doctor, I said, but won't it still control my glucose? And he said, so do you want to compare lemons to Meyer lemons? And I was like, okay. So we agreed, let's try the Zepbound. And at the same time, a friend mentioned that her husband gets a lot of his medications from Canada. And I had not thought about doing Canada for a long, long time. I know that Canada, you have vials and syringes. That's a hard word to say. Syringe. And you have to inject that way, where in the United States, we just have single-serve pens. So when you get your prescription, you get 4 pens. And although I don't know on the Zepbound Direct, I don't know if you get syringes or pens. Pens are so easy to use. And if you're on the fence about it, I would say give it a try. It's a pretty intense adjustment period, because it throws your hormones off. Suddenly I feel very PMS-y. It's like, that scene from Junior where Arnold Schwarzenegger is crying over a commercial. It does alter your hormones, because remember, insulin is a hormone. So, yes, I'm fatigued. I know what to expect this time around, but I found Mounjaro at the Canadian pharmacy, but not Zepbound. The reason is only the United States has made them do 2 different flavors. Only the U.S. The other countries, Mounjaro is used for weight loss and Mounjaro is used for diabetes. So I found it for $3.25. So $25 cheaper. And they have vials and they have a pen. It's a single pen with 4 doses in it. And that's how Ozempic works here. So as uncomfortable as I was with Ozempic, as I'm grateful for the experience now, because I was able to get my QuickPen up and running right away. I knew what I was doing. When I first went on Ozempic, I got it, I looked at it, I went to the doctor's office and said to the nurse, do you have time to train me on this? And, so dipped into a room, pulled down my pants so I could shoot it in my thigh. Yeah. So because of that, it's a little bit different. Like you have to prime the pen, the QuickPen for the Mounjaro, and when you hit the plunger, the whole pen kind of collapses. It goes down like a plunger goes down. On Ozempic, you hit the button and then you just count to 5 and hope that the serving goes in. Serving, it's dose. So the plunger must be internal on the Ozempic pen. So, I was very happy to see how this all works. I mean, the single dose pen is very easy. You just blam, you're done. With this is a little different. You gotta measure it. You do the dial to get to the measurement you're supposed to have, and then you shoot yourself. Mounjaro, if you're on the American pens and you need to titrate off, you cannot microdose without doing something weird to the pen, or without just lengthening the number of days between your doses. With this pen, this Canadian pen, because you have to dial up, you can dial down. You can have fractional doses, which I'm pleased to see I have that, because that was a concern. Like, what if, I get to where I get and I don't need as much in the future. Here's the deal. I'm on the baby dose. The 2.5 baby dose is the dose for your body to get used to all this new chemical. It is a non-therapeutic dose. They don't expect a whole lot to happen during your first month, because you're on this baby dose, this little weenie baby dose. And if you lose 2 pounds during the baby dose period, you're doing great. You're doing fucking fantastic. And then they will dial you up to the next dose, which is 5. I went on the baby dose last time, and in the first month I lost 10 pounds. And in the second month I lost 7.5 pounds. And finally in the third month I lost 2 pounds. I understand the mechanics of all this much better now. I've done a lot of homework and watched a lot of videos and read a lot of things. And I don't know if I will hit a 7-pound month this month. I have no idea. What I do know is that the 2-pound month was probably because I wasn't eating enough. There's a certain point where if you're not giving your body enough nutrition, your body goes, holy fuck, we're in a famine. That's a calorie, quick save it. And there's no, because this is a very powerful drug. And, maybe you're not diabetic. Maybe you're a little chubster and you need to de-chubify. And maybe you don't want to, and that's fine too. These are very powerful drugs, and I strongly, strongly recommend you don't mess around with it for just 20 pounds. For 20 pounds, honey, get yourself on keto and start doing some resistance training, and take care of yourself that way. But this is like taking a bazooka to kill a fly if you're only facing a 20-pound situation. And I don't minimize how crappy you feel when you're even 5 pounds overweight. The psychological torture that we put ourselves through because we live in a very toxic diet culture. And, it's unrealistic. The Twiggy is Twiggy, and that's who she is biologically. She was a teeny tiny teenager, and she has stayed a teeny tiny adult, and she's normal and healthy for her. But we got into this, models became less voluptuous at about that time, and it's not realistic that we'd all be like a stick. So the other thing I would like to float out there is don't do this alone. Don't do this alone. And if there is a group that you can join of some sort, I strongly encourage that. I did subscribe to My Life by AI with Dan. I like him so much, I Patreoned him. And I'm not generally a Patreon person, but he's just adorable. And he signed up with ChatGPT and had it overhaul his life, and he's lost like 60 pounds. He is not on the shots, and he's done this in like 6 months. And yes, men lose weight faster than women, okay, but even if you lost 20 pounds in that time frame, that's amazing. So I encourage you to look at your options and understand there's an emotional component, a psychological component. I gotta move the gate. I'm still talking. Okay, so anyway, either I'm just gonna end the video here, or I'm finally gonna fucking figure out how to edit, and I'll be back.